It's a pleasure talking to you all because I don't miss any opportunity where I get to talk to students because I feel it's my obligation uh, to give back to the society. If I'm able to inspire at least one person, I think I've done my job. Uh, I am also benefited by the talks which we had in engineering college when I was a student. So those time we had entrepreneurial development programs, and I used to make it a point to attend every program. And many of the things which were told by the successful entrepreneurs during those times, I still remember those and sometimes use in my practical application uh, even now. The first thing about entrepreneurship is, when if I talk to a live audience, one of the questions I throw at them is, how many of you want to be an entrepreneur? So might be 50 students are sitting or 100 students are sitting there. I get 5 hands going up, 10 hands going up maximum. So I tell them, the rest of the people, that entrepreneurship is not something which you have in your mind. Entrepreneurship is, it's very different. Entrepreneurship is what now every organization looks, even if you are an employee there. So as an employee, you are expected to behave as an entrepreneur inside an organization. So I think it's Ram Charan who has written a book which says entrepreneurship at all levels. So as an employer, as somebody running a company, I want every of my employee to be an entrepreneur within the organization. So things have changed from the times when my parents, your parents, uh, join companies or join some service where they had a steady job, where they joined a company and worked till the end of their career. Now things have changed. Things have become very competitive. There is no guarantee for job. You will have to sometimes move from one job to the next job, and every job your employer looks for the entrepreneur in you. So I tell students very clearly that if you there is nothing like a job where you can get a steady income or spend the rest of your life. You are destined, everybody sitting across is destined to be an entrepreneur if he has to be successful in his life, whether it's employment or it is you venture out to start your own journey. So for me, I mean, uh, there's something which missed in the introduction. This is my third enterprise. When I passed out of engineering college, I never wanted to work under somebody. I don't know for what reason it is, but I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And might be I had if you say typically in Malayalam, that ahangaram, that probably that could also be a reason. But anyway, I jumped into entrepreneurship immediately after coming out of college, and sometimes I do regret that I should have done an MBA at one point of time. Uh, but now I try to make it up every year by investing in my course, in trying to learn something, because it is important that uh, every year I come up with some challenges. Probably it could be an HR friend, it could be in management friend. So depending upon what I need to study that year, I invest in some course in some good organization so that I pick up in a very specialized way. So fortunately this year I happened to be at Stanford, and the topic was on innovation, and a topic which I actually is very passionate about right now, because I now understood what is the purpose, and how well you can utilize it. So after finishing my engineering, the first thing I jumped into was into computer graphics. And most people don't know, I was a mechanical engineering graduate. There was only a couple of people doing computer graphics in the state at that point of time. It was a time of where you had a 486 computer was costing a lakh of rupee at that point of time. You had the Amiga machines. You had it was a time where the silicon graphics was coming into place, and Apple hadn't really come into our country that time. And a couple of years I spent in that. I worked in editing studios, I worked in computer graphics, I worked for small animation works, I worked with one of the best. So I got the opportunity to work with the best art director, the directors and producers of the state. But I felt that, I could, staying back in the state, I didn't have much opportunity to take it forward, because it was mostly based out of Chennai, Bombay, Hyderabad, and more. Or and somewhere I had other compulsions, personal compulsions, to be in the state. So that is where I got into the crushing and the quarrying industry. So it was a small venture which is called Aishwarya Granites, which I started in 1997. So 95 onwards, I was behind it, getting the licenses, clearances, all those things. It was in Tamil Nadu. Uh, I set it up. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the local people. I was determined. I had, as started, and it was in Kanyakumari district. So Kanyakumari district, they have a speciality. It has a worst of both Tamilians and Malayalis. So I had complaints going against my industry even before I started. I had to, I was driving it so passionately that I managed to get all licenses and start that industry. And in a in a few years, uh, I could turn it around to be one of the biggest units in South India, with a lot of hard work, lot of perseverance, because licensing, environmental issues, all those were coming up. Because if you look at the quarrying, the licenses, the mining licenses which I got, first time when I got it in 4 weeks. Second time I got it in 1.5 years. Third time it took me 4 years to get, because the environment clearances were getting tougher and tougher day by day. So it took me almost 4 years to get my third license. So by the time it was the fourth license, corruption and other things had come in so badly that I didn't want to be in that business. So probably one reason I decided that if I continue with that business, I could be extremely rich, because it is a business where there's a lot of money involved. You make a lot of money in the business, but you had to be hand in glove with the system, which which you can never come out of. That is, if you're, it's like, being in a vicious circle. So I didn't want to get in the vicious circle. And one fine morning, I got that kind of a message from certain authorities. I said, I'm closing the business. So it was a very abrupt decision which I had to take, but it was more on an ethical front, on my personal conviction that I took, that I shouldn't be continuing in that business, and I got out of it. So then some of the things which, as when I got into this afterwards, into the chocolate business. So we were traveling in Europe with the family on a vacation. So my kids and my wife, they always say that there is something special with the chocolates that you get abroad, and I didn't know what it is. I also knew that the taste was different, the feel was different, but I spotted out some opportunity in that. I knew that things, that the chocolates that you get abroad, and if you will all agree with me that the chocolates that you get when your relatives or friends or somebody come from abroad is certainly better than the chocolates that you get in India. So there are certain reasons why it is better. So after that discussion, I thought, I should go a little deeper into it and find out why the chocolates abroad is much better. And once I started, and this was somewhere in 2013-14, after I had stopped the quarrying business. So I started to inquire about it, and suddenly I found out that chocolate is a very closely held industry, where the finer aspects of chocolate are not discussed, or comes out, or is not available to the common public. So I wanted to learn about it. So where do I learn? So the first thing that was available was a certificate course from Canada. So I enrolled for it. I learned the basics of uh, bean to bar making in that course. Then when I worked and I got an admission to work and study under uh, Mrs. Kristen. She is one of the judges for MasterChef Australia. She runs a school in Melbourne, one of the finest chocolate schools where they teach on gourmet chocolate making. And believe me, I didn't even know how to. I Before I went there, I went home, I went to the kitchen and found out how a microwave has to be switched on. So that was my interaction with uh, the kitchen before I got into all this. So I started, how a induction cooker works, how a microwave how a microwave is switched on and all that. So I went to Melbourne, and I under her I studied on how gourmet chocolate manufacturing is. Then, again, there is an industrial side to the manufacturing of chocolates. So there is a course in Germany which teaches you the industrial manufacturing of chocolates. So I'm a frequent traveler, and I've gone to Europe couple of times before that, and I applied for visa. And unfortunately, the German embassy didn't give me visa for the course because they didn't know, or they suspected some reason why a guy coming from a mining industry should go and study chocolates. They found something fishy about it. They rejected my visa. I never expected in my life that with the background and with the documents I've sent, they would reject my visa. But we always say that when you're determined to do something, something or the other will come and help you. So one of my friends had introduced me to the honorary consul general based out of Trivandrum. So I went and met him, and I told him, see, this is the whole purpose why I'm going there. And so he said, I will talk to the 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 topmost person at the German embassy in Bangalore. So he spoke to the topmost person, and I went there. I handed over my passport, and within 15 minutes, I got a 2-year Schengen visa stamped on my passport. So whenever I used to walk to the immigration counter after that, whether it is in India or in Europe, they look at me with great awe because it's somebody coming with a 2-year Schengen visa. They normally don't give such kind of visa. So after that, I went to Germany and picked up what on how industrial manufacturing of chocolates. I got the opportunity to visit the best of equipment suppliers there, the best of chocolate factories there, the best of outlets there. And the interesting point is cocoa grows in 15 degrees plus or minus equator. And that is, you have the South American belt, the Brazil, then you have the Ghana and the Costa Rica, that central belt of Africa, uh, and and towards Sri Lanka, India. That it's 15 degrees plus or minus equator is where the cocoa grows, but the technology, the machinery is all based out of Europe. So it was a great exposure going out and learning in Europe. So it is very important that even before you launch into any business, that you know what it is and how you do it. So whether you wanted to jump into any business, spend as much time as possible to learn in before you put in your first step into it. See, learning is an investment, but it will pay you. And US, I believe, normally they spend even up to 3 or 4 years before they venture it out into something. They don't just jump into, like, I think we have a very wrong concept here that students coming out just trying and getting into execution. I think execution is good, but I think you need to do your homework and study and spend a little bit more time to understand the industry as well as your business model before you venture into something. So the other thing which I've learned is you are only as good as your team, and this is something which everybody knows, and I'm sure that they teach this a lot in management schools. If you look at Steve Jobs, so he always believed in A players. If you look at Elon Musk, he always believed in A players, because A players can only work with A players. So you can have a few good people, a few mediocre people, because they will not work together. So make it a point that you hire the best as per as is available in the market, because only a good team can take you to the next level. So this is purely, and even when I was running a mining business, though it's one of the most elementary and rough businesses in this country. I had the best of people. I had the best of people as my as my engineer. I had the best of person as my mines manager. Only Shankar Siemens and Ramco Siemens and myself had a first class manager in southern India. So that is the kind of people that you should hire and keep, because before hiring those people, the management of explosives, the management of mining license was all very difficult to me. I had learned it the hard way. Hire the best people. Most of your problems are taken care of by them. So make it a point to hire your best team. And one of the problem with most entrepreneurs have is you will have the people who stood with you during the initial phase. So it becomes a very dicey situation later, whether how to handle those people, how to sometimes their skills will not be good enough to take the organization to the next level. So how will you handle them? So these are very tricky questions, but sometimes I had a problem with in personally I had a problem with one of my right hand people, and he never wanted to grow, nor he would allow the organization to grow. So one day I called him to my office and I said, see, this is not working. I don't have a place for you. So what? And literally, I handed him his 3 year salary to him and asked him to leave. So that is a see. Sometimes you will have to take such kind of decisions. It is very difficult to do things like that. But when the interest of the organization is above your personal interest, you have all reason to do it, and you must do it. Sometimes you will have to let go of people who doesn't grow up along with the organizations, or you will have to find appropriate options for them, but never leave them in an undignified manner. You take care of them and see that they are properly placed or properly taken care of before you ask them to leave. And this is true not only for people. See, it is also about the vendors, the technology. So one of the instances which I had was I had an imported plant from Europe. So I was using an Indian plant before that, and the Indian plant had its own a lot of issues. The throughput was not as I wanted. There were a lot of breakdowns. So I happened to meet these multinational suppliers. So they gave me a presentation where everything was designed. It was planned maintenance. You didn't have a breakdown. So I jumped into collaboration with them, and that is how I brought by in the crushing. I brought in one of the best machinery available outside the country and set up my plant. Even the excavators at that time I used had GPS monitoring. So I could know, I mean, it was 10, 15 years back. I could know sitting at my home whether it is running, what location it is, what is the diesel consumption. So I invested heavily on technology even at that point of time. So everything was remote, everything was automated. And now I put something on screen which we are recently doing. So we are into FMCG and retail and B2C business. So on top, on the left side of the screen, you see a post which we put on Instagram. So what is the purpose of doing an online promotion? The purpose of I see that there are only two purposes for being online or doing an online promotion, which is one is your brand building and the second is lead generation. So this is one post which we have put for lead generation. So we are online and the contact number is there. Now I do a heat mapping of the using neuroscience technology. I do try a mapping of the uh, mapping of the heat map of the advertisement. So what I see is that when this ad comes on screen, much of the attention will go to the dark red spot and lesser attention is going to below where we have written online, and hardly any attention to our brand name. So this is technology being used even in a normal Facebook post or Instagram post which has come up into the scenario. And right below, I have one of the shelves of a supermarket where the heat map is on a product which is not that of ours. So this throws insight into what changes we should do on our product, what changes we should do on our labeling. So there are a lot of examples which I can quote where we use technology for improving the business. So you are only as good as a team doesn't mean the team inside your company. It is also your vendors, technology, and other partners you have outside. So the financial consultants you have, or the HR consultants you have. So those all are people who got to be as good or better than you, and not as good as you. They always got to be better than you to help you to take the company to the next level. So uh, this is also something which you got to be aware of. There's nothing like a perfect launch which can happen when you jump into a business. So I have a very uh, interesting experience when I was installing the imported plan from Europe. So it was a prestige plan for the prestige opportunity, even for my equipment supplier, which was Metso Minerals. They are a Finnish company. So their entire engineering team was at the site. Their CEO was monitoring from Gurgaon. They were also in liaison with their counterparts in Europe, because it was a prestigious project for them to launch a fully automated, state-of-the-art plant in South India. What happened was that the machine was we switched on the plant, and one of the cylinders of a machine failed. So they had a spare. They immediately replaced it, restarted the machine. The second cylinder failed. Then they capped both the cylinders and tried. The third cylinder failed. So without that was a critical machine in the entire circuit. We were not able to run the plant completely, and everybody was very down because it was a prestigious opening for them. It was being watched from across the globe, across the country, that this plant is being switched on. And what was found out was that uh, it was one of the small washers inside one of the cylinders which was causing a problem, and they were able to track it to a specific vendor somewhere in the globe, from whom that part had come, and they had to recall all the cylinders, all those hydraulic cylinders which were supplied by that vendor. And now my plant had to run. So what is the way? So they tried lifting something from Barbel. Barbel is in Australia, in Orissa. So Orissa, there was riots at that point of time. So they lifted the their from their godown in Barbel and sent it in a truck to me. 2 days down the line, they couldn't raise the truck because it was riots in Orissa. They didn't know where the truck was. They simultaneously lifted uh, backup from France, because the replacement had to come from France. And actually, the supply from France reached me before the supply from Barbel in Orissa reached me. Because, see, those kind of uncertainties is what you face when you run a business in this country. Because getting something from France was much easier than getting something from Orissa for a lot of our internal reasons. So, there's nothing like a perfect launch. When I originally started, again, I had a problem with, see, when I first started my industry, I was like 27, 28, my second, this crushing industry. I was very adamant that I will not pay bribes. So the electrical department, the electricity board was creating all sorts of problem for me. So they found a small mistake in the part on the part of my electrical engineer and said, we can't give you a connection. So it was slated to open on the 6th of April. And they thought that I would go them and bribe them and find out things some way and get them to give me the connection. So, and I didn't have such a big generator to take over the plant. But what I did was I had some contacts uh, because of my earlier industry which I was working. I had some contacts in Trivandrum, and I asked them to get one of a big generator which could support the plant. And I had put in the generator and made sure that the plant start at 12 noon, the time at which it was supposed to start. And by 2 o'clock, the TNEB people came to the site and they found the plant running. They said, "See, we didn't give connection. How did you start the plant?" I said, "So this is what happened." And they didn't want to create a scene. And then they gave me the TNEB connection, and subsequently it went forward. So, you know, there's nothing like a perfect launch. You have issues here and there, and you just get along with it and move forward. And now, one another learning which I've had is on course correction, and the course correction is very relevant right now, because in chocolate business we do B2B business, we do B2C business. So the B2C businesses, we cater to five-star hotels and cafes. And what we found out is that suddenly all the five-star hotels have been closed, all cafes have been closed. We had a lot of retail presence as far as our chocolate spreads are concerned. We are finding it difficult to supply to Amazon warehouses in Bombay, in Bangalore, and other places. So, lot of issues which happened, and retail was taking a big hit, and especially the five-star hotels and the cafes. So, cafes, we supply our chocolate spreads in bulk. And what we did as a course correction is, suddenly we shifted our focus a lot into online. Even if you look at marketing now, we don't even talk about the normal channels of marketing, the above the line marketing, like the print or the hoardings or other things. Now we don't even talk about it. So suddenly we had to do a lot of course correction as far as once the corona has come. And so as you all know, the only thing that is constant is change. And very often I've seen a lot of people, students who are very uncomfortable with ambiguity. And I feel that ambiguity is something which you cannot avoid. Even the best of brains cannot avoid. Nobody knows what is there for you tomorrow. The truth is only the moment. So be ready to course correct, and it is nothing wrong in it. And even when I started the chocolate business, it was a course correction which I was taking. I started off as my background is in mechanical engineering. I was into computer graphics. I was into mining, and now this into chocolates. I mean, it's there is you have to take it in your stride. And as I already said, starting all over again is not that bad. So I've tried it 2 times. I've started it all over again, and it's not that bad. I mean, you can always start. But having said that, if you're fortunate enough to continue in the same industry for long enough, the compounding effect is much better. So for me, I don't take it very personally, but you know, these are things which I've realized that if you could stick on to the same industry over a period of time, what you learn is much better. What you earn, your returns are much better. Having said this, I was hearing about uh, Robert Greene, the person who wrote the book called The 48 Laws of Power. So he was very successful until the age of around 38, in his 30, 35, 38 years, where he did and worked for almost 50 industries. I worked only in 3 industries. This guy worked in 50 industries. And it's nothing. In Europe, there is dignity of labor. You can be a mason today. You can be a hotel attendant tomorrow. You can also be a manager day after. So the dignity of labor is there. But having worked in 48 in 50 industries, he was passionate always about writing. And even one of the publishers once told him that you have to quit writing, you're not a good writer. But having worked in 50 industries, he was able to figure out that 48 laws of power from his experience in having worked with so many people. So the basis for this book was his experience in working in 58 industry. And I know that a lot of even your college library would also have that book. it became one of the best sellers in the history of the world. So the world prepares you for the next. So whenever, even when I turn back, whatever learning I've had never goes in for a waste. So it all depends on what perspective you look at things. So starting all over again is not that bad, even if it is a different industry, because whatever you have amassed, whatever you have learned in those industries will certainly help you in this industry. If you look at, it was during one of the times when Steve Jobs was not working, he went and picked up the right, the what I call the calligraphy skills, which helped him to bring out such a beautiful product as Apple. So it is, so there is a reason why you do everything. You might not be knowing the reason right now. So because when you restart, you get another chance to make things right. So this is whatever you do, wherever you have to balance everything. So there is called the wheel of life you see on internet, and I very much believe in this. So you need to have friends, family, health, career, spirituality, finance, growth, learning, and fun. I believe in all the 8 things. And one question which I very often get is on the spirituality. So spirituality is, for me, is not something about religion. A lot of people, though I'm a religious person, for me spirituality, for the understanding of all others, I would say it's more than religion. It is from where your morals come from. So you don't need to be religious to be spiritual, but you need to be fall on something for your morals. So spirituality is something which I would advise a lot of people to be very conscious about. Because I have heard people where, I don't want to name that group. They were one of the successful group in this country, very powerful, very rich, but now they don't exist. And they had, even if you are one of the best brains, go and working with them, and they found something. If if you wanted to leave their institution, they wouldn't allow you to do that, because they know that if you leave, it is a loss for them. So see, so even with the people whom you work, make sure that you work with the right people. So otherwise you land up in problems. Very often I've seen managers landing up to the problem because the owners are not signing on the papers. So spirituality is very important as far as, taking you to the next level, because otherwise you might land up in the problem in many cases. And being in this period of corona, I think this is something which we cannot ignore. So when corona came in, so the top line is corona versus business. So first thing we decided when corona struck is like, we built three principles. One is we will protect the brand. Second is we will protect cash. We will try to be cash positive as soon as possible, because some businesses have taken a hit. And third is we'll protect as many jobs as possible. So this we fixed as the guiding, the three pillars to build, take on the corona period. So for that, what we have done is, first is first is the cash, which I've referred to. So cash is, there have been two instances in the last 4 years where, since I've started this business, which really hit on the cash flow of every business in this country. The first was demonetization, and the second is corona right now. So what happened during demonetization is a lot of businesses went under the drain, whether it was legal or illegal. So some of the businesses which were startups, because their cash flow suddenly got affected. So this cash flow suddenly got affected. They couldn't stay on for 3 months. I was in Surat for something a few months back, because one of our vendors, suppliers, is from Surat. So he was telling that around 1,500 to 2,000 industries were closed down in Surat immediately after demonetization. So that we don't see, that Kerala, since it's not that industrialized, we didn't have that kind of effect. But in North India, the effect was tremendous. So whether and though the intention was cracking on those illegal businesses and all those things, but lot of straightforward businesses which didn't have enough cash flows were also hit in the process. And so cash flow is one thing which we thought is the the most important thing which we had to look into when this stuck. The second thing we found out is we suddenly changed our inventory management. So in inventory management, so I tell my people very often, when you tell inventory, people think about it's a inventory at your site. So it's not only inventory in your factory, it is also the inventory lying with your distributors, the inventory lying in the retail outlets. So we took a conscious decision of cutting down certain slow moving SKUs, because these slow moving SKUs, they're being held as inventory in many places. When you add up, it would also add up to another 20% cost on inventory for us. So that's the second thing we did. The third thing we did was we started giving split payments. So sometimes, we talk with every other vendor and said, see, we can't afford to pay you in one go. We will split it over 2 months, 3 months. So that is something which we would not have normally done in a regular case. The fourth thing we did is we took our people into confidence and said, see, this is what is happening. Our the whole intention is to retain as much jobs as possible. But some people will have to take a cut, and some people, we will have. And the first 3 months we didn't say, but expecting that things will turn around after 3 months, we said some people will have to uh, go. So that also happened as part of the cash flow management. So these are things which we were forced to do as part of the corona. And the second thing is we shifted heavily into technology, in terms of we were already into technology because all of our people on ground, they're on software. I know where you know my orders come on app. My people, where they are on ground, I know where they are. So we were already on technology. Now the thrust on technology increased big time. As you know, now even if Professor Sampson had invited me to come over, that would have been my first choice had it not been for corona. He had invited me, but it didn't happen. So this happened because of corona. So thanks to corona, I was able to address you all. So so we invested heavily in technology, but there are also the difficult sides, because when I had to ask people to leave, normally if when I ask people to leave, I sit across and talk. But this time, unfortunately, I felt it very difficult and very dicey to sit people across on camera and say that sorry, I will have to ask you to leave because this is a situation right now. So technology has suddenly become a big part of any industry, as you know. And the third is travel. So travel also has come down big time. So for us also, in some way, it is a boon. Sometime, some way, uh, because costs have come down of travel in big times. So you get a lot of time, and you suddenly started thinking how you can be more efficient when it comes to not being there on ground. So you've started thinking of new ways of management, and that is on the business side. The second thing what we found out is, and one more thing on cash management, what we did is that we moved a lot. We tried to, what kills most businesses, and that is very important for an entrepreneur. What kills most businesses is the fixed cost. So whenever you start a business, try to start with as much variable cost as possible. Don't try to take as much fixed cost. Don't try to avoid fixed cost to the maximum. So we had to let go of some of our spaces. And when it comes to, so space is one thing with fixed cost which most people have. Then the other fixed cost which we have is manpower. So all our salespeople, we renegotiated with them, and everybody has been moved to a new scheme where it is, I've cut their salaries into half, and offered them a higher incentive, so that, and I've told them that this will work out in your favor once things get back to normal, and I will not take back this offer which I've given to you. So we have again cut back our fixed cost on manpower by almost half. So take away the fixed cost as far as possible. This is a lesson which everybody, each one of you can take along with you even after Corona. So have as less fixed cost as possible and try to have as much variable cost as possible. The third, the third thing is travel. Travel I've already explained, and next is that's a business part. The second part is on a personal front. So I've got lot of time to invest in my family, and in fact, my son is in 12th. He has got admission and he's leaving after this. Once things get he's leaving for higher studies. So I would never have got so much of time to spend with him because I would have been traveling all the time. So family is one thing, a big benefit I've got of the Corona. Second thing is health, because a lot of time, you become a lot systematic. You are regularly having your home food, and personally, I've downloaded an app for exercise, and I was very fanatic about fitness even during my college days. So I was the athletics team captain for engineering college, and even for my pre-degree level also I was athletic team captain. I was so so I've got time to invest in my health. And the third thing is education. We've all got a lot of time to put into education and self development. So these are things which, on the positive side, things have happened. So I try to look at things in a very positive way. And from a business friend, right now, today I was talking to one of my friends. I don't see like, this will get over in December. This will get over in March. That is not the way how we look at Corona. We look at on a daily basis. How do we get the fundamentals of the business right? How do we get a sustainable model even at this point of time, so that even if this drags for a little bit of more time than we expect, we keeps the hopes high, we keeps people motivated, and we keep the business alive. And I was just telling that every year I make it an opportunity to invest uh, in my education. So every year, whatever the topic which is I feel I should learn, I will invest time and money into going and traveling. So this year, fortunately, I had the opportunity to go to Stanford for a course on innovation. So I had a very interesting professor there, and she has written a few books, and her name is Tina Sealing. And this is one of the favorite quotes which she says: "Never miss an opportunity to be fabulous." And I would suggest everybody of you to go on and look onto her YouTube videos on innovation. Very interesting videos, and many of the things you would have read in WhatsApp or other forwards are her experiments which have come. People have quoted and put on WhatsApp and those things that I, after reading many of her books, couple of her books, I came to know. So never miss an opportunity to be fabulous, and make it a point to enjoy the ride. And I think this is all what I have to say for the time being on my experience so far. So
Uh,
anything you want to ask, you can ask.
yeah,
Uh,
we can expect a few questions. If you have got any questions, please you can type in the chat box. I will be moderating. If you have got any questions, please type in your chat box. A lot of appreciations are coming. Sorry, a lot
Thank
of
you.
appreciations are coming in. Okay, so a lot of immense thanks for giving such great experience, Blair, or coming from the audience. Okay, so if any questions are there, please you can type in or
I can answer anything from marketing to HR to mining to chocolates.
very good. Yeah, we are expecting a few questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions?
So in fact, we can all probably go in for a poll, Samson. How many of them want to be entrepreneurs after this?
So that's it. No, you can go for maybe even you those people who are attending. Maybe you can have a poll right now. Maybe those people who would like to go for an entrepreneurship can maybe in chat box you can type in yes. Okay. You can type in yes if you are voting for entrepreneurship. No, a lot of even alumni is also coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few people coming here.
So I would like to ask them, what do you think their biggest challenges?
Yeah. So there is a question. There is a question
Yes.
is from Helen. Helen has asked a question. Is there any particular reason why you have selected these chocolates? Are you fond of chocolates? That's the question. Why chocolates as your product right now?
See, as an entrepreneur, it's probably destiny got me in because I didn't have a, after when you pass out of engineering, you would never know. Uh, Even if you ask me 10 years down the line what industry you'll be in, probably I hope I'll be still in chocolates. But uh, I didn't have, uh, I found a business opportunity more than anything else because as far as chocolate is concerned, if you remember, many years back, we had the cafe coffee days coming across the country. Everybody would have seen and started a coffee culture in the country. Or if you know about, if you think about wines, of late you hear about the various type of wines and the Sula wine and their wine fest and all those things. Similarly, chocolate is in that nascent stage as far as India is concerned, and most of us have chocolates for the sugar rush more than the cocoa rush. So that is a transformation I feel which this industry is going through, where people will start appreciating better chocolates. And if you look at Cadbury's as a company which every all of us grew with, before it was taken over by Mondelez, it was a company which never figured in the top 10 companies of the world as far as chocolate is concerned. So chocolate was Cadbury got its foothold in this country just because it's a British company, and India was a British colony. Chocolate is going through a phase where people have started appreciating better products, and it is an industry which is growing double digits every year, unlike many of the other industries in this country. So one is, once I started, see, I'm more I'm more into fitness, so I never used to have too much sugar. And now, see, now chocolate tasting all is part of what we do. So I found that business in the whole thing, and I found that there is potential in this thing, and I came across it. So once I started learning on it, I started liking chocolates for sure. And chocolate is something which everybody loves, whether it is from a child to your grandfather.
Very good. And we compare. There's another question from I don't know who asked the question. Yes, he entered with a machine Nokia. Okay, fine. How do you find this market, Indian market, growing when you compare to other abroad markets?
The advantage of India is, as I said about chocolates, we are a growing market. So any industry you take, it is we are much uh, behind the Western countries. So the first advantage is, see, we don't have to reinvent the wheel in many cases. You see, even for chocolates, see, we have a lot of models abroad where we can we can go study and refine to Indian context. That is very, very important. See, many things that work abroad will not work in India. But whatever businesses you see abroad, it cannot be copied right down to India. So you have to tune it to the Indian context. So so any industry you take, I feel a lot of potential in India because we have a we have a growing population. We have a population which is aspirational. So everybody grows up seeing the big brands across the world. Everybody with the experiences which are shared, and I think India is a fabulous country to be in. If you look at every Western company wants to come. Today I was talking to one of the investment bankers. So they are looking at, all the FMCG companies abroad are trying to come to India because they see India as a growing market. Everything has stagnated abroad unless you have cut uh, very cutting edge innovation. There is nothing you can do in Europe and America. But in India, the opportunity is fabulous. You have lot. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in many cases.
So that's good. Thank you. That was a question from Dr. Kocherani. I think she has renamed herself. There is one more question. This is a question from Gina. If you're
Yes.
starting another company, which product will be of your choice?
Uh, if it is chocolate,
No, it's a general question. If you are starting another company or any other concern, maybe this is the third venture. If you are going for a fourth or fifth venture, which is the product of your choice?
you know, uh, see, see, I have it's my advantage and my weakness. That the weakness is that you know the when I'm into something, I'm fully into it. I don't think about anything else. So you have, sometimes I tell my team itself, there are entrepreneurs who run multiple businesses at the same time. So personally, I don't see, I'm passionate about many things, but uh, I don't get time to think about all those because I get too focused into what I do. It is good on one side. It's and from another aspect, it's I think I've never thought about it. So at the right time, I'm sure that some opportunity will come in front of me if I ever decide to do something different. So I have no clue. Sorry.
Not yet decided. Very good. So there's another question from Mithun. A bundle of questions are coming. A truckload of questions are coming. I think. What is the uniqueness in your chocolate, the Lisa chocolate, compared to other brands? You have any unique selling propositions? Any USP?
See, uh, see, one thing we keep talking inside is about, and if you take about any of the products, see, the product per se is only, it's only a physical portion of what you see. So, as an entrepreneur, what you should be looking at is the experience. So, the experience is from the marketing that you see or the first introduction you get about the product to your customer coming for a repurchase. So for me, I don't see the product per se as that one physical product. So having said that, the product certainly has to be good. So very often when we do a lot of this gifting, we get a lot of complaints for a packaging and the way we deliver and other things. So it really got nothing to do with our chocolate per se. But our chocolates, if you ask me, uh, in chocolates there are multiple levels. So one of the grades which you normally don't get in India is called couverture. It's a French word, so it's in English. If you read it is couverture. So it's called couverture. It's a French word. So that means that chocolate has 32% cocoa butter in it. So 32% cocoa butter means the minimum. That means cocoa butter starts melting at 25 degrees. The temperature inside your mouth is 32 degrees. So when you put something which melts at 25 degrees into your mouth, which is at 32 degrees, it has to melt. That is the difference between a chocolate you get in India or abroad. So that is the reason why it's a chocolate. When you put some chocolates you put in your mouth, it melts, and some other chocolates which you put in your mouth sticks to your teeth. Because what sticks to your teeth are compounds. Compounds are made of vegetable fat, and fat starts melting at around 60 degree plus. So from a quality perspective, then again, if you give me the samples of the five best known chocolates in this country or in the world and ask me to sample and say which is the best, I will have a preference for one of them. And if I ask Professor Sampson to try one and say which you like, he might pick something else. So when it ultimately comes to taste, it is also a question of personal choice. So, and if you look at one of the studies of Hindustan Lever, what they found out is that in India country, the taste, the preference of people change every 50 kilometers. So what is the mean curry you get in Trivandrum is not the mean curry you get in Alleppey, or what is the mean curry you get in Trichur, or what is the mean curry you get in Kasargod. So that is how, the taste preference changes. So you will have certain benchmarks. In today I was again neuroscience, a program which I was watching today afternoon. So what they did was, they wanted to, for Spotify, they wanted to launch a music. So what they did was, they picked up all the hit musics which have been launched in India over a few years. They fed into a computer and found out what is that one beat which is uh, rhyming with most of the listeners, and they found out that one beat which is common for all the hits, and they set up a music. So very often, it is, even if you take the best of multinationals, the biggest FMCG companies, they might come out with 50 products and two will make into the best selling category, and the rest 48 some people will like and majority of the people will not like. So so from a technical perspective, if you look at our spreads, we don't use palm oil, because palm oil, we use 50% more hazelnut than our competition. So it the flavor is natural. We use the best of cocoa powders into it, so that the taste is appreciated. So from a nuance point, there are a lot of things we try to improve our product. But from a customer perspective, it starts, for me as an entrepreneur, I see as an experience right from the first introduction. You see, if there's nothing like if Samson comes and tells his friend that, I've tried this product, that's an awesome product. Or Samson could go and say, see, I tried this product and you should never buy in your life. So it starts with the first introduction of the product. It can start with your ad. It can start with where you see the product for the first time. It can start with your reference or anything. So for me, a product starts from right from the first word of mouth or what marketing you get to repurchase. So I see it as a complete experience. And I want every entrepreneur to look at product that way, not as just that physical product.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, that was a question from Mithun Raj. Wonderful question and wonderful answer also. And there's a question from Justin Joseph. Uh, do you think Kerala is right now maybe suitable for investing money in food products and the chocolate products or chocolate industry right now, maybe after Corona?
Uh, See, one thing which most entrepreneur classes they teach, because I have also been to a lot of entrepreneurs, I listen to a lot of entrepreneurs. So the first point is, any business is a good business. And one of the challenges right now is, even today I was commenting to one of my friends. Government is starting saying about starting new enterprises at this point of time. That is because the government is advised with bureaucrats. No businessman will start a business right now, because he will only try to see that his business survives right now. So, see, for me, if I am sitting on a pile of cash to start a business right now, I will not do it because the market conditions are not suitable. But post this scenario, certainly the market is going to boom, because that is the trend which we have seen across the globe. See, sometimes, in college, on school, we always used to wonder why we learn history. Now I realize why we have to learn history. History leaves a lot of trails. Autobiographies and biographies will teach you a lot of things. Because again, as I said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel when you do that. So certainly, right now, I say is might not be the best time to start, but you can always do your preparation. Things are totally different for an existing business versus starting a new business. You can do, as I said, see, it's not about coming out of college and just jumping into and starting it. It's, you can use this window to prepare and study and figure out. And probably the best of times to, in fact, other day, the magazine rates, the advertisement rates, certain high-end magazines, they, one issue, if you have to put a fund one single page of ad might cost you around 2 to 2.5 lakh rupees. Now, those kind of assets are available for one-fifth the price. So those are opportunities right now which you can cash in. So businesses cash in, buy those things because they have cash, and hold those assets for a time when the business picks again. So right now, problem is not the right time to really go and start in business, but probably the right time to do your homework. So certainly Kerala, as I said, Kerala has got huge amount of expat population. Kerala has much more distribution of wealth, and I'm sure that in FMCG in management schools they will teach you that Kerala is one of the states where most of the FMCG companies and most of the luxury companies try their products for the first time, because Kerala has got, so Kerala is really a market. But one thing you got to be very careful is when you enter into a place where your competition, you have to strictly differentiate yourself from a multinational company, because their pockets are so deep that you will never survive. You'll find it very difficult to survive against them. So unless you have a business model which very strongly differentiates from them, even FMCG sector, be very, very careful how you pitch it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the answer. Maybe we have got a couple of questions more. This is again a question from Anita Anil. She asked a question: how will you convince your potential customers about the quality of your product, especially Lisso? He's asking about Lisso. When Cadbury, Nestle, a lot of other chocolates, they are coming out with a lot of advertisements, massive advertisements, and
Yeah.
influence the market.
See, that is where I said we don't compete in their space in the first place. So we are in a certainly in a niche space where we do where it goes to see, even when we go in for corporate gifting, one of the challenges which we have faced is uh, a well-traveled person who traveled abroad or has worked abroad. The moment we sample our product, they appreciate our product. And even in our chocolate spreads, what we have found out is we give it to a kid who is a regular consumer of a competitor product, will easily spot out our difference the moment he tastes our product. But if I give that product to somebody who's an offhand uh, user of a chocolate spread, he will never find a difference. So the first point of, we never talk business to any person before they experience our product. And we are more into a B2B space when it comes to our chocolates. And uh, and even in FMCG sector where we are, our biggest marketing is in sampling, because the moment the product is sampled, the customer easily makes out the difference, and we don't have to explain more that why we are superior. So one is, we don't try to compete in their space. Second is, we don't compete in the channel where they are present. And third is, we focus on the experience more than the physical product.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's a very good answer. I think we have got a question from Aruna. Aruna has asked a similar question. Maybe this answer itself will be satisfying her. Maybe what is the kind of techniques and new ideas which you used, maybe to make your product very unique from other brands? Have you used some kind of ideas or techniques to make your Liso very unique within the market?
See, it all starts with, as I said, there are different arms and legs for the whole business, whole activity, from marketing to product to your communication, where you're placed, where you're seen. So before Corona, we were in almost every other the mini bars of every five-star hotel in the state, and we have started placing in the mini bars of all the five-star hotels in Bangalore. We were in Ritz Carlton. We were in uh, Grand Sheraton. So a lot of places where that our kind of clientele goes. So there are a lot of things which we try to differentiate in terms not only of the product but in terms of communication. Communication is a very very important aspect in terms of, see, even the elementary things like I put it on the on that neuroscience mapping of the heat mapping of the shelf. So we have redesigned our logos, we have redesigned our labels. So it is a continuous process, and always building up a business is a long haul. And you jump into a business thinking that you know a lot of things, and customer will give you a root shock. So constantly innovating, correcting, innovation and correction is very important. In fact, we were doing a lot of online campaigns. Today, my sales head is saying that some of the customers have come and said that they have not seen our online campaign. So I was asking them, what's the purpose of that campaign? Or if you look at, even in marketing, one of the things which we have to be very cognizant is the spillover. If you look at Rolex, they advertise. See, I remember seeing Rolex on the Wimbledon court. I see Rolex on the golf course. I see Rolex on a racing track. They know their clientele is, uh, follows all these sports. So it is more, how you differentiate and the channels of communication also, where you are present and where you are seen, and people associate with where you are seen. Why we are, see, if we seeing ourselves in the in associating with uh, Marriott, for example, people put us on a different pedestal. The brand is put on a different pedestal. So we do co-branding with them. We do co-branding with some other brands. So many things which we do try and differentiate. So sometimes it's not only about, business is not alone about the numbers that you do. It's also about how much you want to grow and which space you want to grow. See, some people are happy with taking a company to uh, being a niche company and being there. Some people want a big conglomerate. Some people want to be in a certain space. So here we got into, see, I got into this business because I wanted to do something which I felt is nice to do, a great space to be in, and something I love to do. So probably if you had asked me the same thing 15 years back, my vision or my thought on life and business would have been totally different. So as you're, you become bald and your hair become gray, the way you think also changes.